Ding, ding, ding goes the alarm. The firemen slide down the pole. Clang, clang, clang goes the fire engine bell. The chief is on his way. Here they come. Watch out, make way for the hose car. You know, this little golden book is one of my favorite books about fire engines and firemen from when I was really a little guy. But there's nothing more important than to learn more about firemen and especially volunteer firemen. And that's why today you're on location. We're here at the Jarrettsville Volunteer Fire Department. I'm Ken Kidrowski. Please join me. Well, welcome to On Location. I'm Ken Kidrowski, and this is different, isn't it? We're here at the Jarrettsville Volunteer Fire Department because every little boy and, well, every little girl loves to see those red trucks, so that's why we're here today. And also, not just to admire the machinery, but to get to the heart of what it means to be a volunteer fireman, or volunteer firewoman for that matter. Especially in this day and age, and how complex that all can be. So with me to my left, we have Chief Brian Schultz with us, who was very gracious to be here this morning with us, and the past Chief and Safety Officer, Rudy Walter. So gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day and for dressing up real snazzy for me. I'm impressed, because it's great that you would take the time to explain different things to our viewing audience. So I'm going to pounce right on you, Chief Brian Schultz. This is a great firehouse, if I'm using the right terminology, right here on Federal Hill Road in Jarrettsville. So it wasn't always here, so let's just go back historically, and when did it all start?
Sure, we started in 1929, down at the Jarrettsville intersection is what most normal people call it. At 23 and 165. It evolved a little bit down there, grew, the intersection grew, traffic got heavier. In 1956, with the help from the local Lions Club, is when we had our first ambulance. As the day and age grew, traffic grew, we outgrew the intersection. We moved up here in 1991, which is where we currently operate. So as of right now, here we are.
So how much land does this, do you have any idea how many acres you're on here at this location?
This location is probably about 4 acres of land.
And does that help you for training purposes?
It does. We have a very large parking lot. We have a training pad out back, a very large grass open field out back. So we're able to do car fires, car extrication demos, throw ladders, pull hose lines. We can do just about anything here, right here at the firehouse. And how many, if people are driving by on Maryland 165, how often might they see something going on in the parking lot? Well, we ran about 500 fire calls last year and just over 1,000 EMS calls. So roughly about 1,500 calls a year is how we operate here.
As far as volunteer fire departments go, we'll leave it for Harford County. How does, I don't know if you rank it, I mean, how does it rank? I mean, are you one of the biggest, the smallest, the busiest?
We're right about in the middle of busiest calls. Jurisdictional wise, we're up there. We operate in 62 square miles. The population in which we serve is about 10,500. Northern Harford County is a very large area. It's not as dense as other areas, as in Bel Air or areas like that, but we do have quite a large area to protect and serve.
Well, let me give Rudy a chance. Rudy Walter, the past Chief and Safety Officer. Could you describe the, I wish we had a map right now, maybe we can get one on the screen in a bit, but how big of an area are we talking about? Maybe if you mentioned some street names, road names, we'd have an idea.
Sure, as the Chief said, we cover 62 square miles. For those that are familiar with the Jarrettsville intersection, if you use that as like the center point, we go north up to almost to 24, right by the roundabout near the North Hartford High School. We'll go south to Charles Street and 165. We'll go up Northville Road to the Hartford Creamery Road and the Deer Creek Bridge there. So if your viewing folks know how far that is from here. We'll cover all the way over to Rock State Park. We go down the East-West Expressway between Grafton Shop and High Point Road. So it's, as the chief said, our population may be 10,500 plus or minus, but the geographical area that we cover is very vast. So
You also have to add in all the cows and chickens and everything else.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you got to protect those guys too.
Well, and you bring that up, but just this past year, and it's typically once a year, we will respond on an incident involving an animal.
A barn?
And last year we ran a rescue for a horse that unfortunately got stuck in the mud in the pasture. We spent about 3 hours out there extricating the horse. So you say that, but yeah, not only people do we protect animals.
Well, you know, I almost would like to talk to you about some of the, because it's so serious what you guys do. I mean, it's like when Forrest Gump, he would say, life's a box of chocolate, you never know what you're going to get. And when that fire call rings, you don't know what you're going to get.
This is true.
You don't know. It's like rolling the dice, and it could be something very simple or something very complicated. So I guess when you have something where there's possibly a little bit lighter, maybe there's some humor to it, it's appreciated.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, how many people do you have associated with this, with Volunteer Fire Department here in Jarrettsville?
About 100.
Really?
And
I thought there'd be more than that.
We would want more.
Yeah, we'll get to
for
that.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure. We definitely would want more. But no, about 100, and that encompasses not only the fire and EMS members, but also our auxiliary. That is comprised of about 35 to 40 men and
that
women.
includes the auxiliary.
It includes the auxiliary, yes. And they're there to support us. So, so we definitely need more people.
Okay. And besides the location where we are now, on Federal Hill, Maryland 165, you also have another location nearby.
Yes, our substation. It's located at 4352 Northville Road.
Okay.
It's the Black Horse Station, named after
Why Black Horse?
the area.
Oh,
There's
okay.
the Black Horse. That station holds one fire engine, a brush truck, and a utility truck.
I was going to ask you, so it's not any ambulances in there?
No ambulances, but all of our apparatus carries medical equipment that can respond. I was built in 1985. We just had our 30th anniversary not too long ago up there. It was a big celebration. That house is, I think people may miss it as they drive by because it does sit a little off the road, up on the hill.
Back in.
We do have an electronic sign out front to try to grab people's attention, but it's nowhere near the size of this place, and I think that's where maybe it can get lost. So, we would like your viewing audience to, look up on our website, see the building, and know it's there.
Well, as somebody who lives nearby here, I love going by your station. I hate to say it, but your sign's out there, and I say, "Oh, is that what the temperature is?" Oh, that's the time. Okay, well, it's all good. I don't have to look at my watch. But anyway, getting back to the business at hand. Here in Jarrettsville, what's your accompaniment of equipment? What do you have going here to keep everybody safe?
Well, right now at this fire station, we have 2 engines, 1 heavy rescue, a supply unit, which is basically our draft piece, which gets water out of ponds, streams. Because a lot of people don't realize that up in northern Hartford County, we don't have hydrants. There's not public water, so the majority of our water for fire comes from nearby streams, pools. So that kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into things when people move up here and they like, oh, no hydrants. What do you mean?
Is there anywhere in the quote-unquote village of Jarrettsville, if you will, there aren't any hydrants,
No,
are there?
the closest is in Forest Hill.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit of ways away.
And that's why when you get up into the upper reaches of northern Hartford County, you have those huge ponds around farms that aren't just for the geese to have fun in. You're actually pulling the water out of there if you needed it.
And the other thing, our apparatus, it has a minimum of 1,000 gallons of water on it, whereas you'll see fire engines located in urban areas
Yeah.
or where there's the fire hydrants,
Yeah.
they can reduce the size of those tanks because they won't need as much water. We have to bring the water with us. So we'll have tankers that can carry 25 to 3,000 gallons of water. Like I said, our engines carry between 1,000 to 1,200 gallons of water.
Well, depending on what kind of weather it is, in brutally cold weather, this gets really problematic, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, really fast.
Yes, yeah.
Because you've got all that water with you, but then again, you're either pumping it or if the pond is nearby, but if it's not, it's just, wow. I mean, really.
Have to get creative.
Yeah, you have to get creative. You really, really do. Well, okay, you got the equipment. We're going to touch on it later, but how many ambulances do you have?
We have 2 ALS ambulances, which basically means advanced life support, so they can handle any and all calls. So they're fully staffed, fully equipped, ready to go.
All right. Now, how do you get the money to fund this? I mean, these lights don't come on for free. I mean, the power company isn't just going to give you free power and free heat and everything else just because you're nice guys.
We've tried that.
Have you? Have you? I
Even
know.
does this can't already.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
We get supplemented through the county government.
All right, so the number one with the county. Mm-hmm. So,
The county government, the state supplements us a small portion, and then fundraising and fund drives.
Fund drives, yes.
So your viewing audience in our area knows that twice a year we'll send out fund drive letters, and that donation that they make supports this fire company. It goes right into our operating expenses. It takes a lot of money to run the day-to-day operations of this fire company.
I bet it does. And I just want to mention that you didn't know that we were going to be begging for money here too. We're going to be begging for money, and we're going to be begging for volunteers, or at least asking for volunteers. And at the end of the show, we'll get more into that, the details of how you can do it. But I'll tell you right now, if you go to the Jarrettsville Volunteer Fire Department website, just Google it if you don't know the website, and if there's a wealth of information, everything you need to know about the fire station and in volunteer firefighting in general, and you'll find out how you can make donations and how you can volunteer. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you for the information you give me so far. We're going to take a look around the area here, take a look at some of the equipment and everything else, and when we come back, we're going to talk specifically more about volunteers and the medical side of your station. So, thank you very much for all your information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're back again, and joining us once again is Rudy Walter, the past chief and safety officer here at the Jarrettsville Volunteer Fire Department. And now we're joined by the gentleman to my immediate left, the assistant chief of the fire department here. And so you're assistant chief of EMS, or you're the head of EMS and the assistant chief? How's that work?
The assistant chief EMS, but yes, I'm head of the EMS division here.
Yeah, this is Jack Morey, if I didn't mention. Anyway, Jack, so you're in charge of the ambulances and all that, and how do you properly staff and or equip these vehicles? And I guess another question is, these things have to be terribly expensive.
Yes, they are. And to answer your staffing and equipping, staffing, we're looking at getting volunteers naturally because we are a volunteer organization. We'd like to have someone 8 or above be able to take the unit out. And this is all done by, if you first come in, you're starting off from scratch, you need to take EMT, which is a little over 180 hours, if I'm not mistaken, right now. So that's the major thing that you need before you can really provide patient care. As for the units themselves, yes, they are costly, and what we have on the units, pretty much it's dictated by MIMS, which is let's see if I can get this right, the Maryland Institute for Emergency Services.
Aren't acronyms wonderful? They're
Yes,
just-
yeah. MIMS, yes.
It's almost like being in the military with all the military
But-
code and everything.
Yes.
So when that phone call comes in or the buzzer rings here in the station and you're going to go out on a medical call, you don't know what you're going to get.
For the most part, no. I mean, even though dispatch does give us a heads up if it's a sick person, if it's a cardiac arrest, if it's an overdose. But that's, again, basic information. Once you get there, you really don't know until you see what's going on with that particular individual. Just a fast story. We've had it in the past where a baby was hit with scalding water. Okay, the first one we went out, it was true. A pot of water fell, hit the baby, and the baby, really needed the attention. The second call, which was months later, different location, but our expectations were, oh my God, we're going to see what we saw a couple months ago, and it was a grandmother that just put a baby in some water, and they said, oh, it was too hot. So that's what I'm saying. You don't know. You have a basic knowledge of what you're about to see, but then once you get there, things could change.
Okay, well, we've told everybody knows that we're in Jarrettsville, so somebody in this area needs help. They're in the ambulance now, and you're going to go to the closest hospital, which is going to be Upper Chesapeake?
Yes. Yeah, for this area, for the most part, it's Upper Chesapeake. And again, MIMS tells us that it's the closest facility. So that's what we do. Unless that particular facility is on reroute, has some issues, they can't accept any more patients at this point in time, then we have to look elsewhere. And dispatch will let us know what's available.
And are you communicating with the medical folks at Upper Chesapeake as you're on your way in?
Yes, we do something called a consult. So once we have the patient in the back of the ambulance, and let's say we are going to Upper Chesapeake, we let them know ahead of time what's going on. What we try to do is paint a picture so that person on the other end of the microphone understands that this patient has these issues, and these are the vitals and what's going on, so they can be then prepared once we roll into that hospital.
So once you hit that area at Upper Chesapeake, you're passing the baton. What's that like?
Pretty much, like you say, it's passing of the baton. We've given them an upfront. If it's a critical person, naturally they're seen right away. If it's someone that is non-critical, that might take a while to get a room for them, depending on the hospital status at that time. But we have not only that consult, we have a thing called a short form, which is the patient information that we hand off, and then answer any questions that that nurse or doctor would like to know about that patient that we could provide them.
What type of background would you like to see somebody have if they say, you know what, I've got a particular interest or I've got some time, I'd like to work there as a volunteer? What kind of background, if any, is required to work in EMS?
That's funny because prior to this, I was in the corporate world doing sales of electronic components. I knew nothing about the medical field, but I came here, I took the course, and I liked it, and I wanted to continue on with it. So it's hard to say, with a background. It's just your desire to help the community, your desire to, do something. We're here and we need the help.
So you can run your own MASH unit after that?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. So the volunteers that you need, are there any carrots for these volunteers? Is there anything you say, well, if you volunteer, we can do this for you?
Yes, all the training is free. The training that you receive is from the Maryland Fire Rescue Institute. So it's all college level courses, and you can actually get college credits for those courses. Yes. And
that's
we
a deal.
And we know how expensive that can be.
Oh, yeah.
But it's free. It's provided by the state. So that's a bonus right there, because you need to get the training,
Well, that's a great perk.
and it can help those. And it doesn't matter how old you are, because you never know when you need to go back to school or anything. So that's one bonus right there. There's a tax credit offered by the state of Maryland. So after you've been a member here for 3 years, you have to make certain requirements
Sure.
through those years, which, as to be a member, you would have to make those standard requirements anyway. And then you can get a tax break. And this year, I believe it went up to $44,750. And I believe it's going to increase to $5,000 would be the max. But that's a great tax break for helping out at the
Oh, sure.
volunteer fire companies. And that's off your state taxes. The other one, it's nice if you can put in the time. And again, when we ask for members and when members join, if we can get a few years out of them, that's great, because we understand if they're young, they may not be able to stick around because they're going to, start a career and maybe go somewhere else, live out of the area. But if you do stick around and you put in 25 years, which people think, wow, that's a lot. Well, I'm starting my 24th year this year.
You old man.
So, yeah, right.
You
right.
old man.
So, so it can be done. And we have plenty of members here that have exceeded that amount.
Oh, sure.
But they receive what the LOSAP. It's a length of service award program. And those members receive every month. If you make the 25 years, you get $300 a month.
Wait a minute. $300 a month
From the state.
from the state. Even if as long as you're a volunteer. Yeah. Well, so you're looking right at the camera now. Talk to those people out there and tell them what they have to do to put their name on the dotted line.
You can visit us at jarrettsvillevfc.com. You can like us on Facebook. If you go onto the website, all the information is right there on not only the stations, equipment, but everything you need to submit a form for an application. Once you would submit a form, you'll be contacted by our application committee. They bring you down and basically do an interview with you. The interview is to let you know exactly what you'll be getting into. There's a lot of people that say, yeah, sure, I'd like to come out and help, but they don't really understand what they're getting into. We need people, that is for sure. But there's people that we want, or need, I should say, we want them to be able to commit the time, because it is a commitment. It's a family that you're joining, and it's a brotherhood, sisterhood. We take care of one another, and the amount of time that you'll have to put in, take away from your families, that's why we take care of one another, because we know it's a commitment. The training that is involved, we know it's a lot, but when you're leaving your house, dinner table, in the middle of the night, because someone is having a stroke, someone went into cardiac arrest, somebody's house is on fire, you're dropping everything you do,
Sure.
and you're racing to the fire station, you get on the apparatus, and you're going out to save someone's life. It's a commitment, and that's what you'd be doing as a volunteer. There's other things that you do around the station, of course, but that's what it is to be a volunteer. It's to serve your neighbors, your family, the citizens of this county, and that's what it is to be a volunteer.
So there could even be people who are watching in another area served by another volunteer fire department. Everything you're saying, as long as it's in the state of Maryland, is basically the same deal.
Yes. Yes.
So they can contact their local volunteer fire departments also and say, hey, tell me the story. They don't have to pay for uniforms or certainly their when they turn out for a fire, all that equipment, that's all covered differently.
No, all the uniforms and uniforms. When I say uniforms, is what Jack and I are wearing. We also have, of course, the T-shirts, sweatshirts of that nature. That would be a member buy those. However, actual turnout gear that we wear, that's all provided to you. We couldn't ask someone to afford that. To fully protect a firefighter with the boots, the turnout pants, the turnout coat, the gloves, the hood, the helmet, the self-contained breathing apparatus, you're well over $10,000
Well, $10,000 per individual?
per individual.
So how many people turn out usually for a fire? I mean,
For a
I mean,
fire,
I'm talking about mutual aid or something.
sure.
but
Now from here,
Yeah.
if it's a fire, we'll get about at least 20 to 25 people.
So multiply 25 times $10,000. I thought I prepared enough for this show. I didn't realize that much money. Wow.
And that's, that's not a one-time expenditure. The turnout gear, it gets old,
Oh,
it
yeah.
gets damaged, so we have to replace it. The SCBA, you can only use that for so many years, and then you have to replace it. We are actually currently in the process of replacing all of our SCBA, and that's at a approximate cost of about $275,000.
Okay, decode SCBA for me.
Self-contained breathing
All right,
apparatus,
okay,
another
okay.
one of those little
Yeah.
acronyms there.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of replacing that. Approximate cost about $275,000.
Do you have special gear for handling hazardous materials?
So the hazmat is actually covered by Harford County. There's a hazardous materials team so we would get dispatched to investigate the hazardous material along with if it's in our area, of course, along with the hazardous materials team. So we're trained to an operations level of hazardous material. Basically what that'll let us do is try to keep the scene safe, keep people away until the specialists can arrive. So as far as the specialized equipment or gear, the hazmat team would be bringing that kind of stuff.
I mean, you're handling medical things here. You're handling fires. Such liability. How are you covered for this?
We have insurance. We also are covered through a workman's comp through Harford County. So another benefit, if this is a dangerous job, whether you're a career or volunteer, it's all the same thing, and it's dangerous. So if you get hurt while you're here participating in training, you're at the firehouse, or actively on a response, we have workman's comp that can cover you. So I'm sure maybe some of the viewers might be like, I really want to help, but I can't afford to get hurt because I have my family I'm providing for,
yeah.
and that's something that we can help.
Okay. We need volunteers. Every volunteer fire department needs volunteers. And even though the state of Maryland is giving you guys money, even though Harford County is giving you money, you could certainly use donations from the people who you are serving. So they can go to your website and find out how.
They can. On the website, you'll see about donations. Like I said, twice a year, a fund drive letter will go out. And in that letter kind of sums up what we've been talking about here today, explaining the apparatus, why we need the funding, how it helps us, our operating budget to run this firehouse and our substation, and all the apparatus, all the equipment that's carried on it, personnel. It's about $1 million a year, and we don't get that much from the county. So we're saving the county a tremendous amount of money
Oh, yeah, you are.
by volunteering, and so that's good for viewers. But we need those donations, and so in addition to the fund drive, we hold fundraisers here at the firehouse. You'll see at Jarrettsville Gardens, at the Hall, you have bull roasts, things of that nature, and that money will come in and benefit the fire company.
People don't give you guys enough credit, for what you do. I know the people who know you know what you do, but the people who are backed away, who just know that, well, there's the fire station, they don't know the complexities and everything else. You guys are just amazing. You guys are too good to be true. So listen, Jack, I want to thank you for spending time here today. And Rudy, both you guys, a real pleasure. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'd like you guys to stay where you are. I'll be back in a little bit. We're gonna do a review and we'll sum everything up. So please stay by.
So what did we learn today? Well, we learned that the Jarrettsville Volunteer Fire Department, just like so many other volunteer fire departments in Maryland and in Pennsylvania, they need volunteers. They need more volunteers. And maybe you could be a volunteer. And guess what? Even though they get money from the state and their counties, they still need more money. So one thing I'd like you to do, please, right after I get done talking to you, there'll be a little bit of information on how you can volunteer to be a volunteer at the Jarrettsville Volunteer Fire Department. Donate money to them. And if you don't live in the Jarrettsville area, well, then I encourage you to go Google your local volunteer fire department. Find out how to volunteer. Find out how to donate some money to make their lives a little bit easier, because they're making your life easier too. So that's our show today. Those big red trucks, those very brave men and women who make our life easier. Hope you enjoyed the show. My name is Ken Kidrowski, and you've been on location.